It is Monday, August 22, 2016. Jean is pleased to bring you today's edition of the Government News Brief. Welcome. In the news, Prime Minister calls for all hands on deck to improve education results, Tushals who fail to abide by the law to face sanctions, and minors in Region 8 to be trained to administer tests for malaria and other vector-borne diseases. Stay tuned as we bring you the details of these and other stories. Thank you for staying with us. I am Azim Khan and here now are the details. Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu is calling on all stakeholders in the education sector to play their part to improve and enhance education delivery. Details in this report.
The first Vice President was at the time addressing residents, youths and parents of La Penitence, Georgetown. The Prime Minister urged everyone to play a greater role and work harder, especially in English language.
Many of our children fail. 50% fail mathematics. Only 38% pass English. We're an English-speaking country, and less than half of the children who go to write the CSEC exams, they don't pass English. That said, that is a sad story for our country, and it shows that we need to work harder, the teachers and parents, to get their children to read.
Meanwhile, the Prime Minister said that formal education is good, but children must also develop a healthy mind and body. The Prime Minister and his wife, Mr. Sita Nagamutu, were guests of honor at the ceremony.
They must learn to do physical education in schools. They must learn music. They must learn to do the arts. They must learn languages, because we are surrounded by countries that speak different languages.
The Prime Minister congratulated the teachers for preparing the students for the exams. He also expressed the view that more children are involved today in computer games, and this needs to change if they are to perform better at national and regional examinations. Mistress Nagamutu, a teacher by profession, encouraged the parents to ensure that their children read as much as possible.
I know sometimes students are not quite happy being in the classroom. And very often it's not because the classwork is so difficult. Sometimes you come into the classroom with other difficulties. So to the teachers, I ask you to pay special attention to that aspect. That sometimes children will do negative things in order to get our attention. So you need to have your eyes, your ears, and everything else focus on the children in your classroom.
This is the first time a motivational activity was held in La Penitence by the influential Millennial Youth Group as a way of encouraging students to stay in school. Founder of the group, Nikisha Allen, told Gina that she intends to continue this activity yearly. Shanta Goberdan with this Government News Brief.
Minister of Indigenous Peoples Affairs, Sidney Allicock, says that he will be working to ensure that all Indigenous leaders abide by the laws. Details in this report.
Minister Allicock highlighted some of the behaviors of Tushals which are not in keeping with development. Sanctions will be taken against those who seek to cause division, the minister promised.
I continue to be worried by the lack of respect shown for elected Tushals in their various villages. And I'm quite certain you are aware of what I'm speaking about. The same people who elected their leaders show scant regard to those leaders as they manage the day-to-day affairs of the villages. Likewise, disrespect by some Tushals for the citizens of their villages is alarming. We cannot continue to operate in this manner if we are going to move, if we want to have a good life. We have to listen, We have to pay attention to the needs. We are in a position not to oppress, but to build upon the wishes of our people. There are village leaders who seek to use their elected office to their own self-interest and to the frustration of villagers.
Minister Allicock was at the time addressing Tushaus at the National Tushaus Conference, NTC, which opened today. Meanwhile, Minister within the Ministry of Indigenous Peoples Affairs, Valerie Garrido-Low, reflects on the progress made over the past year in the areas of youth and women development and infrastructure.
At last year's NTC, President David Granger unveiled their government's 10-point plan of action for the development of the hinterland, for your development. I am happy to say, Excellency, that there are lots of action in 106 hinterland communities in the 10 regions presently, since the Hinterland Employment and Youth Service has been rolled out in these communities. Of course, there will be some challenges, but the reviews are absolutely fascinating. One young lady from Paragaputoy wrote to me asking to take some of her savings to purchase some joinery tools for her, Phillips brand, mind you. When I visited there, she came to me and told me that she plans to open her own joinery business. And that she already bought 7 zinc sheets to build her shed. I asked her how much for 1 zinc sheet, and she said $7,000. The former MP, Eula Marcelo, told me with surprise and admiration in her voice, "You know, these youths are thinking. They're purchasing things like tools and other materials, and they have good plans." In Mora, the youths are learning food and nutrition and catering, and are working to resuscitate their nature walk. They also plan to have a debating competition with the other youths in the Hayes village, that are in the Hayes program in other villages. Our hinterland youths are hungry for knowledge, and they are making good use of this opportunity.
Land is one of the major problems affecting the indigenous people. NTC Chairman Joel Frederick says that he is optimistic this issue will be addressed during the conference.
The ALT project. And under the ALT project, started under the former administration. And I would like to say they have done some work, but more things could be done then to address land issues for the indigenous people. There are still issues that are burning within the indigenous peoples of this country. When I go into the hinterlands and I visit them, they would say to show Joel, what is happening with this issue, or land? And I would go and visit and see the conditions that my people are living in, and the land issues and the pollution and the mining. It grieves my heart as a leader. I want to say to His Excellency, let us look as the chairman of the NTC, how we can work together in addressing the land issues for our indigenous people in Guyana.
Over 212 indigenous leaders traveled from their respective communities to participate in the 10th annual NTC conference. During the 5-day event, they will interact with members of the government on issues affecting their respective communities. Issues including land titling, review of the Amerindian Act, health, education, renewable energy, and food security will be addressed. Renetta LaFleur for the Government News Brief.
A prison survey will be launched in September aimed at developing rehabilitation and social reintegration services for inmates. Details from Tiffany Rodius.
The data collection for the survey will be carried out by the Argentine University, Tres de Febrero, in collaboration with the University of Guyana. This will be done under the Citizen Security Strengthening Program. Project manager of the Citizen Security Strengthening Program, Clement Henry, explains the process.
The University of Guyana's role would be to capture the data, and the Tres de Febrero University, their role is to analyze the data and prepare and compile the report. They will also overlook the implementation of the survey by the University of Guyana.
The survey aims to capture information on inmates incarcerated and post-prison life to design programs to deter setback. Henry explains more.
We can able to design programs at every stage that will, first of all, try to target recidivism, that is, people going in and out of the prison, and to also improve conditions in the prison, and the pre-prison experiences will help us in terms of designing programs to deal with at-risk youths, so that they don't end up in the prisons.
The survey will sample the male prison population, but will target the entire female prison population. Henry says that the information will be used to improve scholarship in assessment of prison life.
Our hope after the final report is to allow particularly people from the University of Guyana, people from the University of Tres de Febrero, to be able to do individual papers on these based on the data collected. And we probably have a seminar dealing with issues impacting on the prison population, dealing with issues such as recidivism. So we get some intellectual presentation on what is really happening in the prisons.
The recommendations from the report will also be used to improve the prison service, Henry explains.
This preliminary data will help us as we move toward developing a comprehensive rehabilitation reintegration services.
The survey is part of the third component of the Citizen Security Strengthening Program, which aims to build local capacity in conducting surveys within prisons. Preliminary findings from the 6-week survey are expected in November. The final report is expected at the end of April 2017. For the Government News Brief, I'm Tiffany Rogers.
The Ministry of Public Health will soon train miners in Region 8 to carry out rapid diagnostic testing for malaria and other vector-borne diseases. Delisa Haynes has this report.
Testing for malaria would soon be done by miners in Region 8 to foster a more efficient response to the early detection of malaria cases in the mining sector.
What we are attempting to do at the moment in Region 8 through a pilot project is to train miners, lay people, in the use of these rapid diagnostic tests. So we go into the region, we engage them through the relevant bodies, be it GGMC, GGDMA, the regional officials. We go in and we train these miners because we've recognized that miners are really at-risk group, very high risk. And as a result of that, we want to really build capacity within the mining setting, the mining sector.
The rapid test will provide results for malaria in a timely manner, being a substitute for the gold standard microscopy examination.
Take, for example, malaria in the hinterland region. Initially, and it is maintained that the gold standard for testing or diagnosis of malaria is by microscopy, which basically is taking a smear, examining it, and then giving the result, all right? So what we would have included recently is a change in that. And even though microscopy is still the gold standard, we have the rollout of rapid diagnostic tests, and these are tests which can have a result, a malaria result available, whether negative or positive, within 15 to 20 minutes.
The Vector Control Services of the Ministry of Public Health has been focusing on eliminating malaria in the hinterland regions. The department has successfully eradicated malaria in the coastland regions. For the Government News Brief, I am Delisa Haynes.
Residents from several riverine communities in Region 10 would soon have their issues addressed following meetings with the Minister of Social Protection and team. Details from Renetta LaFleur.
Education, health, and security, among other social issues, are affecting residents of the Region 10 riverine communities. Minister of Social Protection Valda Lawrence, Minister within the Ministry of Social Protection Keith Scott, and the team recently visited the communities to listen to the residents' concerns.
We are bringing the ministry to the communities because you elected us to serve, and we can't sit in our offices and serve all of the people. There are some people who will have that advantage because they're living in Georgetown. But people in the far-flung regions, such as Region 10, so it is costly, especially for people who really need help.
Errol Williams, a resident of Wiki Kalkoni, speaks on the education system in his community.
We have a primary school, and it was staffed with something like some GCO level, some CXC grade 4 teachers. So you can imagine what is being disseminated to our children. We need qualified teachers, we need trained teachers, so that our children would be able to get a better education.
Shamika Miller, a resident of Ibini and a health worker for the community, explains about the challenges she faces in her job.
Because I'm the health worker for the community, and my problem is sometimes when I get drugs from the drug monitor in them, they're already expired, some are already damaged. By the time they get from the trail from Linden to Coquine, some are broken, some are damaged stuff. So my concern is drugs. If I could get a later date of expiration, it would work well.
Other residents speak on the issue of incest, lack of communication in the region, and the justice system, among others. Minister Lawrence assures the residents of relief.
There are several burning issues which we will address when we get back to Georgetown this week. And those are health issues, those are education issues, and those are issues regarding the Ministry of Public Security. We're concerned also about the several incidents of children who are parents of children with disabilities.
At the end of the meeting, several residents expressed gratitude for the minister's visit. Minister Lawrence promises to return shortly to the communities and to forward matters raised to the relevant ministers on her return to Georgetown. Renetta LaFleur for the Government News Brief.
Those are the reports of today's edition of the Government News Brief. You can find the details of these and other stories on GINA's website and Facebook page. To be updated as the news unfolds, we encourage you to subscribe to our website and YouTube channel, and do follow us on Facebook. All government and other information can be accessed from GINA's website, Facebook page, and YouTube channel. Join us again tomorrow when GINA brings you another edition of this, the Government News Brief. Thank you for watching.